Sunrise at Bone Valley is made possible by the member companies of the Florida Phosphate Council, who mine and process phosphate rock for the purpose of providing essential fertilizers and food supplements, as well as jobs, taxes, and other products and services.
Hunting fossils is very exciting because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to find. You don't know what you're going to see. Discovery is what life is all about. And fossils are definitely, they're time travelers. They have a message to tell. And the message that they really have to tell is basically for us to open our eyes and observe the things around us more closely.
It is sunrise at Bone Valley, a daybreak millions of years after giant mastodons roamed the earth and great white sharks ruled the seas. Ancient creatures entombed by time deep within the earth, until one man's quest for discovery opened a door through time. This is the story of Frank Garcia, whose journey through the ages unlocks the mysteries of the past buried beneath the sunrise at Bone Valley.
That's some kind of a broken leg. Yeah, that's what it is. Finding all kind of goodies. Yeah, he's starting his own fossil collection, just like I did. How old is Ricky? He's 4. 4? Well, Ricky, you got an earlier start than I did. I started when I was 8. Yeah. You got a head start.
How old I am. Yeah. That's how old I am. I started when I was 3, didn't I, Dad?
Yeah,
3?
I used to carry around in the mines. Everybody started before I did. In the first grade in the Catholic school, I went to the library. I remember I saw this book with a dinosaur on it. And I looked at that and I said, wow, that was really exciting. And that was the spark. The library was the place. And it started me off on this trip and on this journey that was just absolutely it's a wonderful roller coaster ride. I used to spend many summers on Lake Okeechobee with my grandfather. And there I would look across the water there, and just imagine, what a beautiful lake this was, how it was formed. Envision different types of animals running around the lake there. I used to find fossil bones there around the lake and just hold a fossil in my hand and look at it and just imagine what this thing ate. I think it's a very important part of a person's life, imagination. In fact, Albert Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge, and he is absolutely correct, because this is what has led me to all of my really super world-class discoveries, is imagination.
The journey begins with imagination, but takes a long, often lonely road, paved with the kind of back-breaking labor a former asbestos worker knows all too well. Hours turn into days and weeks. But it is a path well taken. For what Frank Garcia found on June 27, 1983, astonished the world. The Lysee Shell Pit, the earliest, richest Ice Age fossil site in North America and perhaps the world. The Smithsonian Institution called it a new chapter in life. The abundance of research material is studied by paleontologists at the Florida Museum of Natural History under the guidance of Dr. David Webb.
I think what impressed me most about Frank, and it's a feeling that I think anybody really involved in paleontology shares, was that really deep sense of mystery. You're touching the past, you're somehow getting an understanding, a new understanding of ancient life. And Frank was definitely, just enthralled. One of the key finds, the bear dog, Amphision from the phosphate mines in Polk County. That's one of probably 24 absolutely crucial specimens that have advanced science and knowledge of a particular fossil group immeasurably. New type specimens, which are the name bearer, the ultimate scientific representation of a new concept, a new animal, new to science. Type specimens, he's added 5. Of course, there's Subantelocapra garciae, named explicitly for Frank. There's the new genus, a totally unknown thing called Kyptoceras, and then the species name Amatorum, which was named on Frank's behalf for all amateurs who love the science of paleontology. That we often call the horned wonder, and it's simply a magnificent, huge, exciting animal with all kinds of horns.
I broke a leg playing softball. I was in a tournament and broke it real bad in 5 places. I was in 5 casts throughout a course of a year. My bank account dwindled absolutely down to nothing. I couldn't go out fossil hunting. I was kind of depressed. I would get in my car and I'd drive out to the phosphate mines with my leg propped up on the seat, and I used my crutch to work the accelerator pedal. And I would look out and look at these spoils, these phosphate mounds where I went hunting fossils. And I wanted to so bad to go out there, but I couldn't. But just being there, you know, made me feel good because I was there where I really belonged. That was my element. So one day I got enough courage, even with my cast still on, with my broken leg still mending, I got a raft and I got some paddles and my crutches and jumped in this raft, especially this particular phosphate hill that was so pretty and red. And I paddled out to this hill, knowing that if I would have fell out of the raft, I probably would have drowned because my cast was so big. And there on top of this hill, I crutched up. And there was a broken skull of this Kyptoceras amatorum, which is a very ancient giraffe of Florida, which turned out to be a new species and a new genus to science. And I fell to my knees and knew that this was probably the most exciting fossil I have ever found and the most bizarre creature I've ever seen. I gathered it up, took it home, and called the University of Florida and Dr. Webb and told him of it, and he saw it within a week, and it turned out to be absolutely something new altogether. And it was the most emotional experience I've ever had, and that's one I'll never forget.
The horned wonder, as we called it, is truly an amazing beast. It's the end, it's quite a bit later than any other known member of this extinct family. They happen to be called protoceratids, and they're distant relatives of camels. If you imagine camels that got really large and then added these bizarre horns, you'd be pretty close to describing what these are scientifically. And so the horned wonder, which Frank Garcia found in one of the upper parts of a phosphate mine, is just truly amazing. And it was also really fortunate that he found it when it did, because in fact it was already beginning to erode out of the site, and pieces of it were indeed lost. But the important thing is that major key parts of it were still present, so that the front, the slingshot nasal horns were still there, the cheek teeth were still there, and everything from the orbit, the eye, right on up into these incredible tall horns, and then the back of the skull, including all the key parts of the basic cranium, were beautifully preserved. And on that basis, we were able, in our lab here in Gainesville, to reconstruct the whole skull. And this is the type of a completely new genus. Nothing like it's ever been seen. Distant relatives, about 10 million years old, are really quite different. So this is one of the great discoveries from our phosphate mines that Frank made. Frank's record is very clear. In 20 years, he's produced more than any other single human being active in Florida in the way of exciting new finds, both important fossil sites such as Lysee and individual new pieces, some of which have become types of species new to science, or even genera new to science. So 20 years, Frank has added materially to our knowledge. And then there are the sort of intangible aspects of all that too, his dedication, his excitement, his natural ability to educate and convey that excitement to other people. He's not only doing the cutting edge work, but he's really, in a first-class way, exhorting other people to their involvement.
Years of digging have only barely diminished the fossil treasures unearthed at the Lysee Shell Pit. Scientists throughout the world study over 100,000 cataloged items from the site. Much of the credit goes to Frank Garcia, who shares the wonders of the find with the amateur paleontologist. The Fossil Club he helped organize has grown to be one of the largest and most active in the nation. Today, one member makes an amazing discovery, uncovering an Ice Age horse buried with a prehistoric elephant for millions of years.
Look at that, huh? Check her out. There's everybody around here close. We ought to take a look at this because we don't see very many of these exposed like this. This is a real treat. In 2 million years since this elephant lived.
Don't please be careful of my bones back there. Don't
Hey, come on,
step
guys.
them. Really.
We got some. Let's get out. Somebody's gonna trample all over.
You gotta wait till the dust settles down first.
We may be tearing something else up here. There's a possibility we could have another gump job here. The other side. You see that? Pretty good. That's a lower left mandible. Of an Ice Age horse. Epus. There you go. You got that other piece, right? Yeah, I got it. Here's a rib of something else. That's the back molar. The premolar is missing.
She may have it. She already found it.
Yeah, there's a possibility maybe that might fit on this side here. You know, I bet that tooth maybe might fit here. So.
You don't have it one fracture right here.
Yeah, it looks good. But I tell you what though. Let's see.
Yeah, they took
I
one out.
wouldn't chance it. I wouldn't chance it.
Without jacking it.
Really? Let's see what you have here. You have one there and you have one there. They came all apart when they took it out. We're gonna jacket this. We're gonna have to make a deep hole right there. A very deep hole. That way that water can drain into that deep hole and won't be up against this jawbone while we're plastering. We don't want water around the jawbone while we're plastering. So you want to make a deeper hole back there. Let's see if you want. Maybe we can use this big shovel. Let's see that lower that tooth.
How can it be?
I bet it might fit it. I bet it might. There's a good possibility. This is a right. This is a right. This is a right, a lower right too. So.
It's an old guy.
Yeah, it was old. The back molar's not too bad though. He was in the prime of his life. All right. You want more? Let's see, get that out there. Yeah, just in case. A little bit more. Won't hurt. You get a little plaster on it. Darn sure ain't gonna hurt it. Okay. How's that for English? Okay. Okay, how about another piece?
One piece with it.
Just one. Whatever. Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to be a real deal. There's so much mud.
You need to move some of this out of here.
Yeah, we're going to have to because this thing is going to be a real tough one to get out. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's just, this mud is just too much. It's getting worse. If we can get some of that out, see how many shovelfuls you can get out of there because this wet mud is just not going to help it. We'll never get it out. Stop! Not yet. Wow. That's all right.
You get in there with a little shovel. Keep your sides dry here.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Gotta get your support
Problem
from the
is-
side.
That is
You
the
got
main,
good support in here.
that is the most important part of a jacket is your perimeter. If you don't have a good perimeter, you don't have a good jacket. One thing is certain, it's not that highly fractured, so it can be put back together. Hey, bud. Oh, right in here.
Got your foot
Get that, okay. Where's the end? Okay, let's go around this thing now.
You don't even know inside that.
Not yet. You guys ready? Okay, I don't know. I can't guarantee it. It's just too wet.
Right that back over there, it's got pavement on the side.
All right, what we want to do.
Undermining?
That's going to be a real problem. All right, Let's turn it over as fast as we can that way. When I say 1, 2, 3, quick, quick, 1, 2, 3. All right, now, wait a minute. Let's get underneath it. We have to get underneath it. We're gonna lose it. We're gonna lose it. You got it. All right, I'm under over here. You got it. We want to get it out. All right. I ain't leaving. I got my knees. See, I can't put my knee on the ground. So I can get it. Yeah, I got it. That water. It's that water. Wait a minute.
Get that shovel under it.
Nope.
You're not under it.
No, it's falling out. It's falling out. We gotta get underneath it. It's falling out. Damn.
The whole thing's falling out this way?
We gotta start digging right there. Hey, can we have some volunteers? We need some volunteers, please. Does somebody want to help us? I'll turn it back down. Quick.
Roll it this
Down.
way.
Roll it. Roll it. No, not that way. It'll fall out. That way. Okay. We got it.
Shoot. Good job, Frank.
Good job, you guys.
We got it.
You guys did a great job. You guys deserve a hand, man. Let's get her out of here. We don't want to subject this thing to waste. You got it? Yeah. Right there.
Yay!
That yours?
Good job.
Yeah, man.
They did all the work.
You did fine.
I want this tooth right here.
One of the women over there said, "You're not very excited." I said, "I'm in shock." Thank goodness there's a lot of good help. Strong young backs. I'm too old for this. It's all hard work, believe me. All these people out here digging are they're breaking their backs.
Did you ever think you'd find something like that?
Not in a million years. The greatest find I've ever found. I've been digging for a good many years. This was beyond any of my expectations, I can tell you that.
The wonders of the Lysy Shell Pit exceed all expectations. Oozing mud reveals a treasure trove of fossils. But the very mud that releases the creatures from their ancient tombs will encase them again. A rising water table will soon flood the site, posing a far greater threat than the ominous clouds that send club members packing. The end of a day of digging fossils at Lysy signals the end of a chapter in history.
All right. That's nice. Nice camel leg bone. How about that? That's pretty. That's that small llama, too. That's that new species. It hasn't been named yet.
Oh, really?
Yep. Undescribed. We found him in 1983 across the street there at that pit. So, the original Lysy dig. Not bad.
There's a peccary tusk.
A peccary tusk? It's a pig, huh? Boy, you're doing good identifying fossils. Not bad. That's what it is. It's a lower peccary tusk. Yeah, it'd be more flattened if it was an upper. Yeah, very good. This is the last of the great Lysy pit, that's for sure, because in about 4 to 6 months it's going to be flooded and it'll be gone. It'll be all over with. This is fun. This is what it's all about. What I like is the little kids out here.
Yeah, they're having a ball out here today. And they're finding stuff, too.
Yeah, no, everybody is. And we have them here from 8 to 80.
You'd be surprised what they know about paleontology.
It'll be several months then before this pit gets mined up, and then what'll probably happen, then they're going to bring in the dredge and what they call wet dredging, wet mining, right?
We're going to get the dredge in, and we're going to go ahead and just dredge all of this.
Yeah, and that's basically this, what you're after
right here.
Yeah, that
right. There's so much clay in it that's not really usable in itself.
Yeah.
So,
I can see why.
So hopefully, if we get it permitted, we'll be able to go across the street. And the way we think, there's another bend in the river up there.
Yeah.
And so hopefully there'll be a site. There's another one like either 83 or the llama site.
Nothing surprises me there in this Lysy that's for sure. Ruskin Quadrangle has been the richest quadrangle in the world for early Ice Age mammals. This is just it's a privilege for all of us to be here, to be honest with you. There's a lot of scientists around the world wish they were here right now, to be perfectly honest with you.
Excavations at the Lysy Shell Pit have provided science with a wealth of knowledge about our prehistoric past. But for the novice paleontologist, it's a chance to make discoveries they will cherish forever.
Occasionally I'll go by myself, but now as fossils have become so popular, Now, you know, I get the phone calls where, hey, Frank, can I go to the phosphate mines with you, this weekend? Or, you know, can I go do the diving this weekend? You know, and it's starting to be now where I have an army now, a clan, you know, and it's growing in numbers. And I think it's very, very exciting. And now we formed this club here at the Museum of Science and Industry. And it's giving a lot of people an opportunity to go out and collect in areas where, therefore, they couldn't unless they were members, because a lot of these places where we do go collecting, they're starting to clamp down because of liability problems. But through an institution like the Museum of Science and Industry, we could go and collect fossils, and we could all learn and have fun.
Discoveries made by Fossil Club members often end up at the Museum of Science and Industry in Tampa, where much of Frank Garcia's fossil collection is on display to the public. As curator of paleontology, Frank works closely with museum director Whit Ostrenko. The new exhibits they develop help instill an interest in science among the children who visit the museum. A paleontological laboratory reveals much of the hard work involved in collecting fossils.
You think the two of us could lift this thing? Oh, it's pretty heavy. You got to carry that through the muck and mire in the field and get it to your vehicle.
And once in a while I have to carry it by myself or drag it by myself. And what we're looking at, though, in here that makes it very interesting is...
Frank is the curator of paleontology for the museum, but he's more than that. He's a mentor, a motivator. We look for people like Frank to be able to turn kids on to something other than just hanging around, to turn them on to exploring the world about them, to look for fossils as a means of enjoyment, as a means of discovery. And Frank there's no better teacher and curator and philosopher of Florida. The favorite thing we like to do is to go have Frank pick up the kids in a school bus at their school and do a tour to the phosphate mines, and then get them out into the mud, into the phosphate areas, and let them discover fossils on their own. And once they do, it's no stopping them. There's question after question and inquiry after inquiry, and it's exciting to watch.
That's a snaggletooth shark. Boy, look at that. Look at the curve on that. See that?
Oh my God.
Snaggletooth shark. Isn't that pretty?
Oh, cool.
That's a type of a tiger, isn't it?
I think it's hammerhead.
A hammerhead. Isn't that something? That's pretty.
Oh.
They're everywhere. Wow, I can't believe this is a good corner right here. I bet I found at least 10 already here so far. Wow. Now we have complete darkness, don't we?
Yeah.
Is this called fossil fever?
I don't know.
You don't know? Wow. Let's see, look at that shark's tooth right there. Kneeling on it the whole time. Look at that shark's tooth. Oh, wow. That's a neat one. Look at that other shark's tooth. It's another one there. There's so much of it, so much missing. That's a mouthful of a stingray. So these are time travelers. That's what these fossils are. So let us look at the past. Yeah, that's a shark's tooth. That's a pretty tooth. That's a bull shark. That's a mouth plate of a stingray, and those are phosphate pebbles. What do you have there?
Frank Garcia really is the Indiana Jones of today and of the Museum of Science and Industry in Tampa. And people just gravitate to him and just want to just be around him, listen, and get him to tell stories of how he swam with alligators and found giraffes with a broken leg, and his own broken leg. And it's just very capturing. I think what we're probably doing is turning on a lot of young people to be little Indiana Jones or Frank Garcias, which is not bad.
Despite having no formal degrees in paleontology, Frank Garcia devotes his life to teaching others what he has taught himself about the science. From children who imagine a time when dinosaurs lived, to the more mature adults whose curiosity never grows too old to learn. His enthusiasm is the spark that ignites the flames of imagination in all ages. The frequent visits he makes to schools leave a lasting impression on the young minds, especially in one high school science class where the students themselves are now teachers of paleontology.
There's a couple different programs that my high school is involved in. One of them is with the feeder schools that we actually have them come to our school, and we set up different science displays, in physics and other, such, related fields, all the different science fields. And what me and my friend John Than do is we set up a little paleontology exhibit for them to come through, and we set up little wash bins and little swimming pools, wading pools for them to dig through. We put sand in them, and it's sort of like a fossil mine, and they go in there for a few minutes and they dig around for fossils and pull out all these neat little things. We get to tell them about, you know, what they find and what it's all about.
We try to teach them a little bit of paleontology, archaeology, and they seem to be happy. You know, most of the kids enjoy receiving free stuff, you know, little bones and teeth, but I see one or two really interested in it, and that really makes me happy too.
You get to go out there and kind of share something that you picked up from somebody else that was nice enough to share with you. And, you know, it's a really good feeling, you know, to be able to say, oh, yeah, this is one of these, and then they go off, you know, kind of clutching it in their hands, walking away like, oh, wow, you know, look what I found. It's just really a fascinating thing, and it's really, you know, nice. It makes you feel good.
Well, our biggest find so far is a Gomphotherium lower right jawbone with 2 teeth intact. It's cracked here and there, but with a little time and effort, we can put it back together.
Paleontology is probably one of the most character-building sciences that you can go to. I mean, all of them are character-building, but this one's like you have to go out there, and it's hot sometimes, and, you know, you're really tired sometimes when you're going out there, and you're not feeling, you know, completely up to it. But, I mean, when you get out there and you get in your mode, then things sort of just kind of happen, and as you're out there looking around on the ground, I mean, I don't know, it's just, you just kind of get into a mindset and you go out there and you look and you find, and it's just, you know, you just take it as it comes.
It's like what Jacques Cousteau said, it's not looking for gold, it's the thrill of finding it, and that's what really it is for me. I have that thrill of finding stuff. I like to, you know, it's just tension building up, and, you know, you just got to find it, and it drives you, it burns in your soul. I guess what I learned is generosity. If you give some time to help people out, it'll come back to you. It's good to have people like Frank around because once people do get motivated, a lot can come from them. Maybe we might be the next Einstein or something.
A lot of times it's very, very hard to motivate students in science. And for kids to get to meet somebody that's actually working in science, in a field of study, and actually seeing how enthused they are. You know, there's no better promoter than Frank, really, in regards to paleontology. And these kids, even though they may not go into a career in paleontology, they really get interested in what it's all about and fired up in science, and it's really a great motivational tool. It's really rewarding to have our science students go out to the schools and have the students come here and actually teach them science. And basically, to watch these kids get so excited into teaching as a career, so it's sort of, we might get some future teachers out of this, and the kids really, the little kids get a lot of positive strokes, and our kids get a lot of positive strokes. It's really, really great. It's fantastic. Frank is not only a paleontologist, he's really a showman too. And he does a great program. The kids really, out at Lycée, they all gathered around, wanted to hear his stories, and basically we're just so eager to try to get knowledge from Frank. And Frank's just so good-hearted that he basically, you know, he just loves what he's doing, wants to share it with as many people as possible. So it's really been really motivational. It's been so helpful, and the kids are just fired up. You know, a lot of these kids won't be paleontologists, but a lot of them might do this as a hobby, or when people ask them questions about fossils, they'll remember some of the trips. A lot of these memories, they'll stay with them forever, really. That's what's important.
Although many days are spent in schools, Frank Garcia still finds time for his first love, fossils. His quest for discovery is a powerful force that pulls him back to Bone Valley to search again and again. Most scientists are amazed at his uncanny ability to discover fossils never found before.
Fossils are essentially storytellers. They're time travelers. And they came here for a reason, and that is to tell us about yesteryear. Tell us how the Earth was, what Florida looked like millions of years ago. And in turn, possibly one day, fossils could even probably predict our future. Fossils are very special. These fossils, of course, are millions of years dead, but yet they are alive in our imagination. It's a very exciting hobby that's now turned into a job that I love very much. This sea cow is going to go to Washington, D.C. to the Smithsonian Institution. This is part of my grant work. And it will be used for study. My boss, who is Howard University professor, Dr. Darrell Domning, professor of anatomy, is the man that's probably one of the foremost sea cow experts in the world, who is presently writing many papers on these prehistoric dugongs.
Frank has been really the premier collector of the Boone Valley region now for, I guess, well over a decade. Nobody else has put in the amount of time and effort that Frank has there, and or has had such fantastic luck at finding one thing after another. It's not uncommon for amateur collectors to go out and make some spectacular find, but Frank has consistently made one after the other, you know, several per year for a decade or more, and he's so dependable at doing it that his work really stands out. And the quality of the material that he's been able to find, the scientific importance of much of it, as well as the sheer bulk. And it's some luck, but mostly a heck of a lot of very hard work and many, many days and weeks spent tramping around in the mines, many days and weeks spent not finding anything in order to find those things that he has come up with.
It's worth nothing, really, but then it's worth so much to science. It's worth a whole lot to science. And what is knowledge worth anyway? Knowledge is probably the greatest resource we have. You couldn't put a dollar value on this skull. And this skull here represents probably one in about maybe 40 or 50 skulls found in the entire world. And 90% of those skulls were found here in Florida, in the phosphate mines.
He has given the Smithsonian a really unique collection of fossil marine mammals from the Boone Valley area, from that part of the world, meaning Florida and the Caribbean at that time, 10 or 12 million years ago. It's like a snapshot of what marine vertebrate life was like at that particular time. No other museum in the world has a comparable snapshot of that spot, or that place in time. And in terms of my work, since he has emphasized getting specimens of sea cows, the animals I work on, because we were working together on this project, he's made it possible for me to find out what was there, what kinds of sea cows were there, what kinds were not there, and to give for the first time a really thorough description, especially of this most abundant species that's there, which we call Metaxatherium floridanum, and be able to relate it securely to other species at other times and places.
This is the skull that I found at IMC in 1988. It was in a crushed condition that we videotaped. And of course, as usual, sea cow skulls do come crushed, but one saving grace, so the bones are very solid.
It's very convenient from the research aspect of things to have this kind of diversity of preservation and of reassembly. It's a rare luxury to be able to study a single species of animal in this much detail, thanks to your collecting efforts that have given us such a wealth of material of this one species.
And we have a pretty neat articulated specimen here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the skull is right here in this vicinity here. How much of it, I don't know. The front part of the skull is right here, and the back end is way back here. I saw the back end. So let's just hope that laterally the skull is all there. Now what I'm going to attempt to do here is take some of this overburden off carefully without messing the specimen, especially where the skull section is. As you can see, this is where I get my aerobics workout, right here. The pay isn't much. It's just a part-time grant. But they know I love it, so I spend a lot of time out here. That's really neat. This is the first time in probably 10 or 12 million years that this sea cow has seen the light. Okay, this is the front end of the skull here. This is the this is the right side and the left side of what we call the premaxilla. It's a snout that comes down dramatically from the front end of the skull. As we go towards the mid-region of the skull now, there should be some teeth starting to show very, very soon. This is the side of the skull here. You have to have a very strong knife that's good and heavy. That way you have good control. If you have a light knife, you don't have much control working a fossil out. When I get down around the teeth section, then I start using usually a dental tool. And we are in luck. This animal does have a gorgeous molar right here on its underneath side, right where I figured it would be. And it appears to be a juvenile sea cow according to the tooth. The tooth is not very adult and characteristic. It's a really very unusual looking tooth. Of course, we'll know more after it's cleaned and prepped in the laboratory, which they'll do that in Washington, D.C. They have a man at Washington, D.C. that fixes these dugong skulls up. I send them up there and they prepare the skulls. I can prepare a skull. I've done it many times, but we're talking about the essence of time. They want me out in the field finding these things more so than they want me putting them together. And I don't blame them in a way, because it's more exciting finding them anyway. I'm not too crazy about working crossword puzzles.
It takes a lot of patience, but it's something I would rather do that than anything in the world. It's just something that it kind of gets into you. The biggest feeling I get with fossils is when I open one up, get the matrix off, and I look at that thing and I say, you know, there's billions of people in this world, and I'm the first one to ever lay eyes on it. It kind of gives you an ego trip or a power trip. I guess next to my wife, then it's changed my life because it's my passion. She's my love and this is my passion. If it wasn't for Frank, I probably wouldn't be sitting where I am today. I owe a lot to him. He took a naive young person under his wing and taught me, and here I am. He taught me science, but he also taught me a lot about living and loving. So I owe a lot to him, yeah.
Oh, I don't know anyone who can approach him in enthusiasm. He's completely unique in that area, and the way that he has reached out to school children and members of the general public and popularized paleontology at the same time that he was making real substantial scientific contributions. I don't know of anyone who's in his league. Bone Valley is a gigantic area, many mines, many drag lines working simultaneously, and even someone of Frank's energy can't be in more than one place at the same time. So it's a place where we could use a lot more people like Frank to cover it adequately. You can't go back today to a place that was collected in Bone Valley a year ago or 5 or 10 years ago and collect more, because that part of the mines no longer exists. As the deposits, as the phosphate rock is excavated, the deposit itself is destroyed. So if you don't get it now, it's gone, it's lost forever. And the specimens that Frank has collected would have been lost completely to science if he was not there on those particular days, and in some cases those hours of the day when they became exposed.
The phosphate industry is most gracious, and they're very caring for education. And through the Smithsonian Institution, I get all rights to most of the phosphate properties, where I could dig up these prehistoric sea cows for the Smithsonian with my National Science Foundation grant. The thing is about the phosphate mines, a lot of people are always saying, well, gosh, don't you get upset that these drag lines, when they dig the land up, they tear the fossils up? And, it's like a good marriage, it's a 50-50 thing, If it wasn't for the drag line digging the fossils up, we couldn't get them. We couldn't obtain the fossils. And we're talking about fossils that are 50 and 60 feet below the topsoil. So therefore, they have to do the initial digging. So they'd maybe destroy half of them, but I get the other half, or other paleontologists get the other half. So it's really a neat relationship.
The fossil layer. Fossil layer, yes. And, okay, we'll dig that by hand, of course. Right. So it's going to be picks and shovels and hunting knives and trowels. Right. It's a nice day to dig, I'll tell you that. It sure is. That's great, look at that. This is the feed level right here. Okay,
that one on Mo, it needs the switch is not going to work the crank.
Just maybe a couple of feet underneath.
Right. Let him take a look at that one here.
The bone layer is probably about 4 foot down there. Okay. That's amazing.
That right there is probably what y'all digging in on the other end down there. That layer right there.
That's the other side, yeah. Right. We're knocking on the door is what we're doing. Getting ready to come in. This is a time machine. This is absolutely. This is how we get a glimpse of the past, these drag lines. People ask me all the time, so you dig all the way down 30 feet down and found those fossils in Bone Valley? No, not with a shovel. Not with a shovel. I have to have the phosphate industry do that for me.
Take you a long time to do that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. What this particular site was a giant classic estuarian type of habitat where almost like a Tampa Bay type of setting where we had whales that beached themselves. Then we had various streams and large rivers contributing into the estuary and transporting prehistoric animal bones like elephants, rhinoceros, giant camel, giant panda-like creatures, their fossil bones, their remains into this estuary, then being slurried up, then the tides rushing in and tumbling and tumbling and tumbling these fossils for thousands of years. That's why all the fossils in this particular area are all scrambled. It's just like a giant soup. There's all kinds of, vegetables here and there. I mean, this place is really exciting. And we're trying to decipher what kind of setting it really was. It's going to take some time. It always takes an enormous amount of time to figure out what we have in any particular paleontological site. So it's a lot of fun. It's exciting, and personally, it's been an obsession all my life to dig fossils, and it's even getting greater. And now I'm starting to share it with other people, and it's and they're finding themselves being caught up in this thing of discovering. It's basically that's what life is all about: discovering. These fossils have been waiting 5 million years to be on television. After all, most of the animals that we're looking here had a very, very high degree of intelligence, because we're dealing with a lot of whales and large dolphins here, killer whales. We have an alligator snout there. See the holes right there where the teeth went. We're looking at a whale rib here. This site was made up of many different kinds of whales. A toothed whale, a baleen type of whale, that was probably the most common. And we did have a smaller type of whale in here also, large dolphin, Cologoniodelphis, which was a river type of dolphin. We have deer. This is a deer calcaneum or heel bone. This is the arm bone, radius of a whale. And we have various whale vertebrae. We have giant tortoise shell or carapace. This is a small one too. We had tortoise in this site that were probably the size of the Galapagos tortoise. Another whale rib. Another radius right there, the radius of a whale. And different kinds of, this looks like a piece of elephant, I guess. Some of it is rather mutilated. It's been tumbled and on a seashore for some 4.5–5 million years. This is an alligator leg bone. This is a camel leg bones. So we had camels and whales and dolphins and tigers, and we even had a giant panda-like bear here at the site.
Sonny's head fell off.
And we have just a tremendous assortment of prehistoric zoo material, that I call it. Well, this site here that we have here in Polk County apparently turns out to be one of the most important sites discovered in the state of Florida. It deals with a period of 4.5 to 5 million years ago. It was discovered by one of the mine workers and brought to my attention by one of my good friends, Rick Carter, who is a real-class paleontologist. And I tell you, to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of my good friends are really good paleontologists. I think the amateur paleontologists have really contributed greatly to the history of paleontology in Florida. And we need more amateurs like Rick, and more amateurs like Don Ward and John Clater and Ben Waller, and I can go on and on. I mean, these people have done greatly to the State Museum in Gainesville and the National Museum in Washington, D.C. So Florida is, of course, the greatest peninsula in the world for prehistoric animals, and someone has to dig these fossils up, and we're going to do it. Yeah, that looks like a whale rib, Ricky. That's a pretty good find, buddy.
Put that in that bag for him. He's filling that bag up pretty quick.
You got a pretty big collection now, I bet, huh?
He found the distal end of an Ostroboros, which is a bone-crushing dog.
Yeah.
Tibia this morning.
You're kidding, you did?
We're going to donate it to the state.
Oh, that's terrific.
And that way he'll get a certificate back in
How
his
about old
name.
Michael? Michael, you find anything, Michael?
Yeah, he's finding his daddy all the time. Come up here and crawl in my lap while I'm digging. He thinks that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Fossil hunting is a family affair whenever Frank Garcia is around. It's his mission in life to capture the hearts and minds of children. But it's often the young people who capture his heart as they see firsthand why scientific fact can be more wonderful than science fiction. Frank Garcia's search for fossils knows no boundaries, on land or underwater. The time traveler sets his time machine for Silver Springs to explore one of Florida's crystal clear rivers. It's an adventure most boys only dream about, but Frank's young friends get to live the dream.
Spot. Right there. Ready? RP. Tyler. Put that equipment over here and I'll help you. The guy's down. It's a little bit soft and slimy, but it's all right. It'll do. It's all right. These vines are on the way. All right?
Mm-hmm. As long as they don't.
Remember what I told you guys about the muddy system and the rivers? It's very important. All right, fellas.
Yeah, I'm
ready. You guys ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get with it. I started looking for fossils and artifacts underwater in 1969. I have burned probably maybe between 1,700 and 1,800 tanks of air looking for fossils. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, and it's a real pleasure teaching everybody I come in contact with about what we have here in Florida. I think it's nice to know. I think it's nice to preserve. Paleontology is different when you go underwater because it's quiet, of course. And what's so really unique, more so about paleontology, is that everything looks big underwater. It appears to look bigger underwater. So in other words, maybe a 3-inch shark tooth would look like about 5 or 6 inches. An elephant jaw underwater would look 2 or 3 times the size of an elephant jaw that you would find on land. So the excitement of that, and of course the excitement of the fish, and the excitement of the trees and weaving in and out of the rocky bottoms, the boulders, all of that is very exciting to me. It's a different world. It's almost like a time machine. You know, you're able to go back into time and able to see some very, very incredible things. I've seen elephant jawbones laying down on the bottom of the river with articulated vertebrae sections of the neck and the ribs and shark's teeth, and sometimes you find projectile points that are in with some of these elephant fossils, and that's proof enough that man hunted elephants in Florida. There's so much about underwater paleontology. It's very exciting.
paleontology, as far as I'm concerned, is, you know, I hate to be prejudiced, but it's the most exciting of all sciences, because these articles that we find actually really talk. Just like these fossils behind me. They're saying something of the past, what it was like. They're trying to tell us something, you know, and we just have to pay attention. What's behind me in the case is a whale jaw here, a sperm whale jaw, which I collected in 1976, the bicentennial year, and it's the largest whale jaw of this type in the world. We have several horn cores, an elk that lived here in Florida, and we have a real early deer that lived here in the Ice Age, and then we have what we call a Hyxameryx, which is an antelope that lived here in Florida. Florida had many, many different kinds of antelope here. And then we have the skull back here, which of course is very impressive, of a giant cave bear from Austria. I will be looking for fossils, God willing, as long as I'm here on this earth. And what I'd like to do is expand my horizons, not only into Florida. I love Florida paleontology, but I love the earth in general. The earth is fabulous. You know, it's a wonderful, wonderful sphere that sits in this darkened universe, and it has so much knowledge. It has so much excitement. It has so many stories to tell in the rocks. And I'm going to be just looking as long as till I drop. Frank Garcia hasn't done it all. Frank Garcia is just beginning. Frank Garcia may have been doing this 100, 200, maybe 300 or 400 years ago. Well, that's a heavy thought, and you know, I have really come up with some really incredible thoughts too in my time. I mean, and you know, sitting there on my couch there in my living room, you know, looking at all my stuff. But Frank Garcia wants to spread the word of fossils to everybody he meets. Frank Garcia wants to try to convey the feeling that Frank Garcia gets when he discovers anything, especially fossil. The future of paleontology is very, very good. We've just scratched the iceberg, you might say, in Florida. We've just scratched the surface. There are many, many places throughout the state of Florida which I know is going to hold a tremendous treasure trove of fossil knowledge. Our children are going to benefit by this, but the most important thing is we must teach them now. We can't teach them 10 or 15 years from now. We must teach them now, especially with a rapid rate of growth that we're having in the state of Florida. These children must know what they might be destroying. I don't like saying this or telling this to the kids, to the children. I didn't study much in school because I hated school. School bored me. I was very bored with school. And so later on in life, you know, as I got into paleontology and I got so excited about learning all about fossils, the one thing that really grabbed a hold of me and made me feel, well, let's put it this way, it fulfilled my life, was when I discovered a new antelope. And it was new to science. It was a fossil antelope, and they named it after me, for me. And I looked in a book the other day, and there I saw Thomas Jefferson, who was America's first vertebrate paleontologist, and he was named for a fossil. And then next to his name was my name, and it said Subantelocapra garciae. And that to me was one of the nicest things that's ever happened to me in my life, and nothing in this world could ever buy that feeling of fulfillment, of really leaving your mark and having done something on this earth, because that's what it's all about.
The fossil treasures discovered by Frank Garcia leave a legacy to science that cannot be equaled. But his gift to all of humanity is even greater. You see it in the eyes of the children who now understand the joy of discovery that awaits another sunrise at Bone Valley.
I can honestly say that I know the wonders and creatures of long ago. I have met them. I have stood on ancient seashores and waved at the long-beaked dolphins and singing whales. I have laid down beside ancient sea cows and whispered my private thoughts to silent ears. I have respected the power of the giant sloth claws and looked eye to eye at the horned wonder of Tiger Bay. I have shown the world about a time when the earth was pure. Many a spoil and strata told me so, and many a fossil I have held and felt it so. I live this life, and I love it. My exploring and sharing must continue because I know now, just as I did long ago, that I was chosen for something special. And long after my death, when the sun is rising on Bone Valley, look carefully, because you'll probably see me looking for fossils.
Sunrise at Bone Valley is made possible by the member companies of the Florida Phosphate Council, who mine and process phosphate rock for the purpose of providing essential fertilizers and food supplements, as well as jobs, taxes, and other products and services.
Promo, Sunrise at Bone Valley, 30 seconds, tape A, 11:28, cut 2, recorded 12:6:90.
Journey back in time millions of years to unlock the mysteries of the past buried beneath the sunrise at Bone Valley. This is the story of Frank Garcia, whose quest for discovery opens a door through time. The fossil treasures unearthed by the Smithsonian paleontologist are now revealed. Watch Sunrise at Bone Valley,